Hello and a warm welcome to a new video, dear 1000 PS friends. From Patrick, from Resi, she's behind me, and from me. Today we've got, I know, don't switch off, electric bikes. But not just any electric bikes, enduros. And these are the Zero XE and XB. What they have to offer, you'll find out now. First, it's always good to know the basic figures. Here we've got an AML 1E version, and here the 125A 1 and L 3E version. Roughly how much power do you get? Here we've got 635 Newton meters, and here 373 Newton meters. And we can already say it, they really go, don't they?
Just to say it up front, it's simply mad. The performance figures often get put into perspective with these electric motorbikes. You see claims of unbelievable 400 Newton meters, and then it goes, well, so-so. One thing first, the big one, the XE, has 630 Newton meters, and that's exactly how it feels. It absolutely rips.
I feel the same. We're still worlds apart in experience. I think it's really useful for you to get two perspectives, because you've already got a few jumps under your belt and wheelies just come naturally to you. And I also, well, one happened to me, perhaps we'll even cut it in, it wasn't intentional. But yeah, I also have to say it's insanely good fun. That drive, especially because it's there from second one, puts a grin inside your helmet. And I also have a bit of respect now and then because there's just so much pull from the first moment to the end. Also personally, not too much strain on the arms for me. What's super good is the weight. You can see it, they're super slim. Here we've got 63 kilos, here 101 kilograms. We weighed them for you again on our 1000 PS scales. We'll pop in what we found out, whether there's any difference. And I, for example, had the situation where I tipped over. I somehow caught on a branch, something like that. And the feeling for me, even compared to the enduros I've ridden before, Husqvarna TE, for example, there the just over 100 kilos are almost too much for me. And then I'm standing there trying everything to heave the thing back up, especially if it's sloping or steep, mega annoying. And here it works much better. It's honestly a relief. What do you think? We don't really want to compare them with motocross or competition machines, but you said when we arrived here, you rode them again yesterday, eased yourself in, that they can keep up, especially the 125.
Yeah, totally. And that actually makes it pretty hard for me to give you an objective impression. Why? In terms of performance, especially the XE, it's extremely close to a full-on hard enduro. I ride a 300 EXC privately. It's somewhere around 50 horsepower. No idea how many Newton meters, but that's basically the tool you use for hard enduro, Romaniacs and Erzberg and so on. And the XE is in truth not really behind that, which is why my problem is I keep comparing these two models in my head with a full-on hard enduro, which by now costs roughly 13,000 euros. And that's a crucial point. With these two models, I think Austria and Germany often have similar prices, 6,600 for the big one. And I think 4,200, it was 4,400 for the small one. A little side note for Austrians, there are bonuses. For the small one, it's something like 600 to 800 euros. And for the big one, it's another 1,200 euros, which means for the big one, we end up, if I could do the maths, somewhere around 5,400 euros. And that is just a mad price. And that's why I struggle a bit. Because I'm saying it goes like a proper hard enduro, but in the details you do notice it's not a full hard enduro. The brakes, they work, but not as sensitively as on my EXC, for example. And the suspension, it damps, but it could work better in the finer points. Yet I have to keep reminding myself very quickly, hey, this thing literally costs not even half of a full-on enduro. So really, it's mad.
I have to say I agree with you, especially on the brakes. I started on the XB. That was my first contact. Then we rode down this hill here and I was a bit like, okay, is there more to come or is that it already? I find it a bit of a shame. Above all, I don't feel the braking power increases linearly the more you squeeze the lever. It's pretty constant. Flabby would be too negative, let's say middling.
If you wanted to highlight a positive, you could say it doesn't overwhelm you. You have to pull quite hard, but as you say, the fine control is missing. You brake, and then at some point the wheels lock. It's not the most delicate setup, but as I said, at that price, mad.
And we always get so many comments, I have to mention it. You already said there's that subsidy. Electricity does bring a few advantages, which might make this a bit more attractive for you, especially for the younger ones among you who want to ease into off-road riding. For the money and what they offer, they're unbelievable overall packages. I have to say I've tinkered a bit privately across brands as well. I had my first off-road contact on a Stark, and honestly, electric bikes are just insanely good fun, and they take away that early, oh God, am I in the right gear? Did I miss a shift? Am I in neutral? And being totally overwhelmed. Here you genuinely have the advantage that you can just focus on riding. Sure, if you usually ride motorbikes, you have to rethink a little with front and rear brakes so you don't grab the wrong one, but I think you need a day to get used to it, and then it's in your system. A small difference, actually I'd say it's quite a big difference between the two, even if we don't want to compare them, is down to the drive. Up front here we've got belt drive. Obviously the chain is along for the ride as the secondary drive, but on the bigger XE the whole thing is covered and on the XB it's not. And in terms of sound it's a real difference. We had a laugh and said the XB sounds a bit like a turkey at times, especially when you're riding a bit slower.
Das Ding klingt wie ein Truthahn.
The belt is pretty loud, although you have to put it in perspective again. Overall, you do hear the belt, okay, yes, but this is a 50cc bike, the AM variant, and a normal 50 cubic centimeter two-stroke is a notch louder still. So from that angle, all within reason, all good. The belt might be a bit annoying at first, probably after 2 hours you won't hear it at all. You mentioned it earlier with the whole electricity topic. Another big point is range. How far do I get? We were out for roughly an hour and a half to 2 hours in the woods off-road. The day trip odometer showed about 20 kilometers. We covered everything from, I'd say, an easy gravel road up to more demanding and steeper terrain. And I think on both we had about 30% remaining. So that's really, really decent. I think the factory claim for the big one is a range of 100 kilometers. And for the XB, the claim is, I think, 75 kilometers. We spoke earlier about how long it takes to charge. You know about that, right?
For the big one, the charging time is 5.5 hours from 0 to 100. I think from 0 to 95, it's 5 hours, and that last half hour does the rest. With the smaller one, it's 3 hours, so 2.5 hours less. I think that's totally fine, especially since we're talking a household socket, which everyone basically has. The charging cable is included as well. It's dead easy. You access it on the side, and in general, the batteries are easy to reach. You just insert a key on the side, we'll film that for you as well, and lift the seat. Then, by undoing a few tabs, you've got easy access to the battery. All very accessible, easy to do, and simple to understand. Also always interesting, seat height. On the big one, we've got 900 millimeters. On the small one, it's 832 millimeters. Especially on the small one, great for shorter riders. I think in off-road and enduro riding in general, seat height on the bikes is always a bit of a pain. I still remember the first time I got on an enduro, and I'm fairly tall, I'm 1.76 meters, and I was like, okay, I have to shuffle side to side. And yes, the big one is quite tall, but still much more approachable than what you might be used to.
It's got a relatively slim waist, so you probably get both feet down. And on the XB, it's no issue at all. I think even for people at 1.60 meters, it's really no problem to sit on it and, more importantly, feel safe on it.
As for equipment, they're identical. We've got TFT displays. They're quite small, but honestly, off-road, you don't need some huge so-and-so many inch screen slapped in the middle. Also really easy to use. We've got a menu button, a set button, traction control that can be switched on and off, and something very cool we need to mention, reverse gear. I think that came in handy for both of us.
Yeah, it's killer. Sometimes you get in silly situations. It rolls back a bit harder than a normal motorbike in neutral when you're pushing it. And there, the reverse gear is very helpful. One more thing I want to mention is the hill start assist. On slight inclines, the motor basically holds you. And without keeping a brake on, you can just give a light blip or open the throttle and pull away nicely. There's also wheelie control, which doesn't work perfectly yet. There's room to improve because, especially in sport mode, they hit very hard. As for all the modes, I tried them through. Traction control is really helpful in the woods off-road for beginners or those who aren't that practiced. It's a very cool feature. When you want to ride genuinely harder or more demanding stuff, it's better to switch everything off. Then the motor responds really well and does exactly what you ask with your right hand.
Very quick aside, we're often asked this on adventure enduros and off-road motorbikes tire sizes. On the small one, the XB, it's 19 inches front and rear. And here, typically 21 inches at the front and 18 inches at the rear.
Yeah, that's not irrelevant, especially for the XE. From the factory, we've got tires from CST. If you want to ride enduro a bit more seriously, they're not exactly the best tires to use. So it's important that you've got 18 and 21 inches, because from well-known manufacturers, there's really good rubber for those sizes. Then you're properly set up for off-road use. Another point many of you will be thinking of, there are already established manufacturers, especially from China, who have comparable motorbikes on the market. We've tested them in recent years. And I'll be honest, I initially shoved these two into the same drawer. If you look purely at performance, though, these two clearly play in a different league. That has to be said. They're just so much stronger, and yeah, it all just works so much better. Absolutely mad. If you get the chance to try something like this, do it. It's bloody brilliant.
The suspension, another important point. We've praised them a lot, and they really are great bikes, you have to say it. But the suspension, yes, it's fully adjustable, that has to be said. And when you tweak something, you can feel a change. In the base performance, Patrick, I'll hand it to Patrick, he's already grinning.
In the baseline, neither is for me anymore. I also have to say I've distanced myself by about 10 to 15 kilos from my best fighting weight. And for both bikes, I'm just too heavy. So I adjusted the suspension a bit. As you said, you do feel it when you tweak it, but we're still a long way from a top tier suspension. Again, considering the price, totally fine, all good. But a top tier setup simply feels different. And at this price, it doesn't have to.
I have to say, with my, well, a woman doesn't say what she weighs, but with my weight, I had few issues. I think I need to ride hundreds more enduros before I feel those really fine differences in my own body. But as we said, you have to try the fork at the front while stationary. And sometimes it was a bit odd. Philip also said, try leaning on the fork. And yeah, the play felt a bit strange. And then you said, was that the compression damping?
I meant the rebound damping. If you screw it a bit too tight, it simply doesn't extend anymore. That really shouldn't happen within the adjustable range. The front fork on both also feels a bit bound up. Maybe there's something to free up in the details. But as I said, all okay. It basically works well. Our grumbling about the suspension is honestly grumbling at a very high level.
One last important plea from me as well, still more of a newbie in this whole area. As a beginner, or how do you say, still green around the gills, start in eco mode. There are 3 modes: Eco, Standard and Sport. Especially on the XB, because it's so light and because the front wheel likes to lift, it's much nicer to ease yourself in. I also started in Eco mode. In the last few kilometers, I tried Sport mode, and I clearly feel the difference. If you work the throttle a bit and don't pay attention to shifting your weight, it happily pops up.
It's genuinely surreal. I can only underline that. Even experienced riders, please start at most in standard mode. I tried it yesterday. Of course, I went straight in with sport mode from the off. And yes, the front wheel just wants to go up. You can genuinely have accidents like that. Today, after riding a bit yesterday, I dared to use sport mode properly for the first time. I'd now say I can handle it. But at the beginning, please eco standard at most, never sport. It's just too fierce, really. Hands off it.
You heard it. And I think that covers most of the information. If there's still something you're curious about, write it below. Exactly, drop it in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, we'd really appreciate it. Give us a like, follow the channel for more videos on this topic and pretty much everything the motorbike world has to offer. And thank you so much for having us here. And thanks to Zero for the experience. We'll see you again very soon.